looking at here, is my position in the political spectrum. Now, as you can see, I am pretty far left and pretty liberal, in my opinion. And this is just one of the political spectrum tests I found online. This is one of the more accurate ones, though. And basically, in the first video, I would like to talk about my position in the political spectrum and why I'm here, specifically. Now, I don't believe in what libertarians call the free market of ideas. I do believe that an economy left completely unregulated, like the far right and neoliberalists want it to be, which basically has capitalism lost those things to do, will lead to wealth being concentrated on an elite set of individuals, and everybody else will just be poor. However, when you have something like communism, you then have an overregulated economy, and that economy really doesn't work, and everybody ends up as poor as everybody else. Or, of course, socialism, which is also the same exact thing. So you need to have a hybrid economy, somewhere in the middle between between socialism and capitalism, in order to achieve the best result for the majority of people. That is why I'm so far right, left, sorry. I believe in things such as basic income, a thing that has been recently been instituted in Finland, and as such, like, I really supported the presidential American presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, for example, and his policies, but, you know, of course, he hasn't been doing enough. And with basic income, really, the thing is, it shouldn't be enough to live on its own, but it should be enough to sort of try and get you by in the harsher times. And I wouldn't institute it for everybody, like, you know, just for the poorer citizens. You know, the wealthier citizens don't really need those $752 to Finland. It's just extra money for, like, luxuries. Also, if taxes are also, you know, I like a progressive tax bracket, because if everybody was just taxed the same, it would be horrible. Of course, like the system used to be back about 100 years ago. So with that, I am going to move on as to why I'm so far down in liberalism, which I am not that liberal compared to other people, because I believe in things such as gun control, and I see abortion as a necessary evil instead of a virtue. Also, in euthanasia, like, Belgium allows you to be euthanized for being just mentally ill, which I think is ridiculous. You can't be, like, I mean, if you're literally that mentally ill, at least you can be high on cocaine all the time, can't you? That would be a perfect solution to a lot of people's problems, wouldn't it? And for the remainder, I would like nearly all drugs legalized. Like, I understand there are a few drugs that a very small amount of people do, that are extremely dangerous and detrimental to your health, and it would be like allowing you to poison yourself. So I wouldn't want that, but I would want most drugs allowed and regulated, which would destroy the drug cartels in both Colombia and Mexico that have benefited off this trade for years and years and years. And with that, I would like to say that I am trying to make up a transition in my head. Okay, so I'm just not gonna do a transition jumping into. I have dual citizenship with Italy, meaning I am technically a citizen of the European Union. However, I really dislike the European Union. Why? Because, well, I mean, think about it. You have the President of the European Union, not the European Union, but the European Commission, which is unelected. And you have the European Commission as a whole, it's also unelected, actually, isn't it? And they propose all the resolutions while the European Parliament votes on them. And really, the European Parliament, in order... Basically, if countries want to push for something, and the European Commission wants to push for something else that's different, all the European Commission has to do is get lucky one time and the European Parliament votes their way, while the other country has to get lucky every single time they propose it, which is really messed up. Also, it's become extremely political when it started off as basically just a mild economic union, which is horrible. Why would it become a political union? I mean, I know globalism serves a lot of different interest groups, but really? You'd sort of evolve from this benign thing into a monster like the regressive left. And I really believe that it's time for it to be taken down and dismantled. And why? Because the migrant crisis is highlighting all this. And with the migrant crisis, most migrants, 6 out of 10 migrants in fact, are not from Syria. They just aren't. And that means that the economic migrants were coming to Europe because they saw some nice pictures on Facebook and heard they didn't have to work at all anymore and the state would pay for everything. Which is silly. Why would we allow them to do that? Just immigrate here with not having to do any paperwork, no nothing, just freaking get on a boat, sail to the nearest Greek isle and force Greece to take you in under the laws of the UN? So, yeah, I mean, on the other hand, I do think the struggle of people, you know how Spain has those 2 cities in the Moroccan coast, and constantly people are keep trying to get in there? I know there's a number of refugees there that are from places like Nigeria, and I would also like Spain to let them in, but not Moroccans, if that makes any sense. And one easy way to distinguish, for example, between who's from which country is, for example, I know Arabic is very divided depending on which country that you're from, and there's clear differences which you can identify. And there's gotta be some other differences, like, I know Syria is currently embroiled in a horrible civil war, but it is highly recommended that you keep your passport. So you should be able to prove citizenship, but that excludes the people who are trying to get through Spain. They don't have anything. But I guess their mannerisms and etc. would be different from Moroccans. So don't let everybody in. Deport all the others who are not from Syria or southern Iraq, because if you're a Kurd and you're coming from Iraq, you're literally coming there because you want to work, because the Kurds in Iraq have it better than literally everybody else. So I can't say the same thing about the Kurds in Turkey, though. So that's my position on European migrant crisis and the EU as a whole. I know Italy is soon going to have a referendum to leave the euro, and has the guidelines of the European Union said you can't be a member of the European Union without being a member of the Eurozone. So that's also a silly thing, right? Scotland wants to leave the UK after Brexit and then immediately try to join the EU. But Scotland is so economically poor that they can't join the Eurozone, meaning you would not be allowed into the EU. Also, the European Commission has already stated they wouldn't let you in anyway. They want to make the transition as hurtful to Britain as possible, has to discourage nations from leaving it. But I don't believe that will have any effect, because everybody can see through what they're doing. It is extremely obvious, and they just didn't hide it. And also, the fact is there has been more terrorist attacks in Europe than will there really have ever been, from Muslims attacking places like France and Germany, such as the recent Nice attacks, or the bloody Paris or Brussels attacks. Islamic terrorism was unheard of in Europe. In Europe, you would have to be afraid of fascist or communist terrorism back in the day. But now you have to be afraid of Islamic terrorism on top of everything else, which is horrible. And this is basically just radicals taking advantage of the openness of Europe and the fact that European countries don't want to do anything about it. Like, Germany changed their name like Christmas because they want to offend migrants, which is terrible. They're migrants. They're coming into your country. They should be entering into your country, not you turning into their country. And the media refusing, like, the Nice attacks. It was basically as if the truck had a mind of its own, converted to Islam, and decided to run those people down. It wasn't the guy behind the wheel. It was a truck. And the guy behind the wheel died, screaming Allahu Akbar. So we know a connection with Islam is there, but it was obviously a truck. Apart from that, so I really support a Danish etset, a French etset, an Italian etset, a Greek etset, all the etsets, all of them. I support all of them, every single one of them. Czech Republic want to leave? Go ahead. Hungary wants to leave? Go ahead. Croatia wants to leave? No, Croatia. I don't think Croatia wants to leave. They just got in, didn't they? Serbia wants to join? Well, Serbia, you sort of suck, so, you know. Oh, I'm for the independence of Kosovo. Just to make sure all Serbians can already hate me by default. Yes, I'm for the independence of Kosovo, now go away. And that is about it. This is something I wanted to put up so people understand where I'm coming from. And I should try to keep my opinions consistent. However, has every human being my opinions, given enough time, and counter opinions will change. But apart from that, I know this wasn't very entertaining. It was just literally a political spectrum with sound over it. I don't guarantee any other pieces of my content will be any more entertaining, so thank you for coming here into my little corner of the internet and allowing me to whine to you. It really is very therapeutic, isn't it?